Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this edition of Sailing Noosa. In this video we leave the Keppels and head to the Whitsundays via the Percy Islands and the outer reef. Whilst we're in the Whitsundays we've seen a really good weather window to get out to the outer reef, so we got on that. Our boat Noosa is a Granger design. Tony's done a great job designing this boat. It really suits what we do, and it's just a really good platform for all our diving, sailing offshore. And we sail this boat with only the two of us all the time, in sometimes in reasonably heavy weather. First trip out to the reef this year, we only went to one reef. We got really lucky with that. The coral coverage was outstanding, the fish life was fantastic, a lot of coral trout, a lot of trevally. We didn't get a great deal of pelagic fish, we got our fair share of sharks, but overall it was just outstanding. It was good to see. Both Lisa and I feel incredibly lucky this year with the wildlife we've seen. I'm not sure if you've watched the other videos this year, but the wildlife's been just terrific. As you can see, I inadvertently hooked a shark while sailing under spinnaker. That never ends well, and well, pretty much guaranteed I'm not going to get a nomination for Husband of the Year. go a bit downwind. Try and follow it down. On the second trip out to the outer reef this year, we went with our good friends Keith and Jill off Meant to Be. We got pretty lucky. We ended up out there for 2 weeks and we did 5 different reefs. Most of the dives we did out of the reef were on the outside of the reef. In some ways it was a bit of a relief to see the reefs in that good a condition. 4 of the 5 reefs we went to this year were really good. One of them wasn't so good. It was a named reef and it had been hit really hard, but the other reefs were terrific, and they were in really good health. It was great to have another boat out there, and Keith and Jill are great people, and Keith did really well shooting trout. There are areas and times where there's considerable current running around these reefs, and well, when there's only 2 of us in the water and nobody in a dinghy, it does create some issues. So, well, it sort of keeps us pretty sharp and on our toes. Although, having said that, it's not that hard to stay focused when you're 180 nautical miles east of Mackay. As you would expect if you're diving in these areas, every now and then you're going to run into a really big shark, and well, this year didn't disappoint. We got a massive tiger shark that we sort of came face to face with on a large wall. He was all cool. He just went down in the deeper water. He was accompanied by a massive tuna. This fish had to be sort of 2 metres long, massive girth, the eye the size of a cricket ball, very inquisitive. He sort of swam around us for a while before just ducking down in the deeper water. We've had incredible weather this year, and the reef was no exception. Most of the time whilst we're out of the reef we only had around about that 8 to 10 knots, although we did get to sort of substantial thunderstorms one morning, but that was pretty much it. Returning to the Keppels this year was a bit like returning home.
The sun was rising, I heard.
Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this edition of Sailing Noosa.